I'll also be doing some stage management. I think we have a few kind of changes in scene. The first of which I actually need to get a ladder to turn on the projector for, because we're a bit short of remote controls at the moment, so bear with me for 1 second. Yeah, so this should just take a couple of minutes. I always feel like it's kind of nice in these situations to have a bit of a group exercise at the beginning to loosen everyone up. There's a bit in Keith Johnston's book on improvisation where he talks about an exercise that I quite like, where you go around a room for 10 minutes and you point out an object and you shout the name of another object. So you might sort of point at the window and shout saxophone. The performances, but we also try and have a broad understanding of what it means to enjoy something, so feelings of sadness, boredom or confusion may be part of the experience. As the narrator improvs remembrance of things past notes when he goes to the theatre for the first time, the obligation to find pleasure in a performance can be burdensome. If you find yourself not enjoying any part of the afternoon, don't worry about it. There are also ways to make yourself have a better time. Smiling and clapping actually make you more likely to enjoy something. Sorry if this is really obvious, I just have to run through it quickly. We will adhere loosely to certain conventions around performance. These derive partly from the history of theatre, but potentially depart from that history in their non-theatricality and attempts at presence, perhaps, the pinch of the real, and also share some ideological space with the contemporary art gallery. This doesn't mean that we prefer performance to theatre. You could say that theatre is guilty and knows it, while performance makes a claim to innocence. The walls on 3 sides were lined with vacuum cleaners of varying vintages. The middle stocked with all manner of cooking equipment, most of it industrial or the type used by small businesses. Everything in this section was an oversized, enlarged version of a familiar domestic item, which had a strange effect on my sense of scale. A few treats were sprinkled around the room. Crates of out-of-date cider, syrup for making mixers in bars. Above the auctioneer, who stood behind a low podium at the end of the room, was an old Mini, cut in half down its length, and attached to the wall in such a way that it was supposed to be exiting the room at speed and in mid-air. Next to its rustling chassis, the words, "Going, going, gone." Each lot was numbered, starting somewhere in 3 figures and ending up in 4 figures. The lots were arranged sequentially. 601 would be somewhere close to 600, but it was not always obvious what was next. Objects would be placed on tables that might or might not also be lots.